ESPN NHL Hockey is the follow-up to last year's critically acclaimed NHL 2K3. The game was hailed by most people as one of the most accurate hockey simulations ever created, and ESPN NHL Hockey is a fantastic follow-up to that game. It builds on a lot of the great points from last year, and it corrects pretty much any problem you could have had with last year's game. One of the best things about ESPN NHL Hockey is the fact that straight up you can just do everything that you could normally do in a hockey game. You can pin players up against the boards, kind of have the player that's being pinned kick the puck out towards one of his teammates. You can kind of put together some neat little deke moves to try and fake out a goalie. You know, you can design these really elaborate penalty killing and power play design strategies. There's all kinds of stuff you can do in the game, and it is hands down one of the most realistic and accurate hockey simulations you'll ever find. Along with this accuracy, though, is the fact that the game is very hard. It's not hard because it's cheap in any way. It's hard because real hockey is hard. You know, you've got defensemen that are constantly moving towards net, trying to break up the play, you know, keep you from shooting the puck towards the net. You got goalies, you know, goalies are hard. Goalies are there to stop the shots, and the goalies in at ESPN NHL Hockey are very tough. They're not brick walls like they were in last year's game, and you can fake them out. And if you set up, you know, a decent one-timer, if you put together a good fake out with a deke move, you'll be able to get the puck in the net. The key is strategy. You gotta learn the strategies of the game. You gotta learn how to get around defensemen. You gotta learn how to get on the breakaway. The game is pick up and play, but at the same time, if you really want to get good at the game, if you want to play the game on harder difficulty levels, you're going to have to spend a lot of time learning the strategies and learning, you know, how to properly set up plays. All the game modes from NHL 2K3 have found their way into ESPN, with also some upgrades and some new additions. The only mode to really get a major upgrade this year is the franchise mode, which last year was a pretty basic franchise mode. It was basically the first one that had been introduced into the series, and it did a good job of giving you all the basics you would need for a franchise mode. This year they've blown it out a bit more. They've included some of the features from ESPN NFL Football's franchise mode, including the email system. There are a couple of quirks to it that are kind of holdover from last year, in that the CPU teams aren't very good about picking up like free agents or offering you trades very often. You know, you'll probably play through an entire season and maybe get one or two trade offers tops, and, you know, more often than not, if you just kind of leave the free agent pool alone, you'll see some of the same players just sitting in there for years at a time. One of the big new additions to this year's game modes is the Skybox mode, which, much like the franchise mode, is based on a mode from ESPN NFL Football, the Crib. Skybox is modeled after like a real NHL arena skybox. The mode is also the game's unlockable mode. In there's a whole slew of things you can unlock, including classic jerseys, classic teams, classic goalie masks, and even like some modes. Another new addition to ESPN NHL Hockey is the Skills mode. Skills are a series of competitions that are based on the exhibition events held during the All-Star weekend. There's a number of different skills competitions, including accuracy shooting competitions, puck control, shootout relays, hardest shot competition, that kind of stuff. There's also a mini-games mode in ESPN NHL Hockey. A couple of the mini-games include a mini-rink mode. It's basically like a really hardcore arcade hockey mode, and it's really strange, but it's actually quite a lot of fun. There's also a pond hockey mode where you just take the top 5 or 6 guys from whatever teams you choose, and you play a pretty basic, no-rules version of hockey on a pond somewhere out in the middle of the frozen tundra. There's also super speed hockey, which is just a really fast hockey game, and there's a shootout, which is a standalone version of the standard NHL shootout. All in all, both the skills and mini-games modes are a really nice addition to the game. You can play some of the mini-games and most of the skills modes online. NHL 2K3 was online for the Xbox last year, but not for the PS2. This year, ESPN NHL Hockey is online for both systems. You can kind of see that this is the first year on the PS2 because it's a little rougher around the edges in terms of presentation and just overall quality. Whereas the Xbox Live version of ESPN NHL is a lot better. It's cleaner looking, it runs better, and it just seems like a much more well-oiled machine. One of the biggest complaints from NHL 2K3 was that the game just didn't look that great. The player models all look good and the arenas look pretty good, but in terms of presentation, the game was pretty subpar when compared to the competition. ESPN NHL Hockey has an all-new graphics engine. All the player models in the game look great. The facial maps are extremely detailed, and all the top players look exactly like they're supposed to. The game also features a much more in-depth ESPN presentation this year. Last year, they had the ESPN license, didn't really do that much with it. This year, all the menus, stat overlays, even the opening menu screen with the NHL Tonight desk sort of in the background, it does a really good job of mimicking an NHL broadcast, and it all looks really good, and it feels a lot nicer than last year. Another huge improvement to the overall presentation this year is the game's commentary, which is this year provided by Bill Clement and Gary Thorne, the token ESPN NHL broadcasters. It's amazing how much these guys actually sound like a real hockey game. Their commentary is spot on in practically every spot. The editing is spectacular, and quite frankly, it is some of the best commentary in any sports game, let alone just a hockey game. The rest of the in-game sound is also very good. There's a lot of generic music in the game that just, it sounds like the kind of stuff you'd hear in a hockey arena. But there is one licensed song in the game, and that is Queen's "We Will Rock You." To sum up ESPN NHL Hockey, it is without a doubt one of the best hockey games ever made, if not the best hockey game currently available on the market. The gameplay is extremely solid. The new features and modes in the game are all very cool and actually very well done. The graphics look a whole lot better, and the new commentary is just superb. There's no reason why any hockey fan should want to pass up ESPN NHL Hockey, and you shouldn't. You should absolutely check it out.